What's up guys, it's Kate and welcome back to my channel for another video this week. So with sorority recruitment coming up, I know some people are already starting it. I decided that I would do a little inspiration video which would help you achieve the perfect makeup for recruitment at whatever university you are at. My university is doing recruitment next week, but I want to just give a disclaimer. This is not affiliated with any organization. This is not me trying to do any of that. This is me trying to help you, feel beautiful and confident in how you look during recruitment and help your makeup last through all around. So if that is something that you are interested in, or if you're not in a sorority and you just think this may be interesting, then definitely keep on watching and I hope I can help you out. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to my channel. You can do that by clicking the link down below. Definitely ring the bell if you want to be notified for all my future uploads, and definitely follow me on Instagram. My handle will be in the description. So without further ado, let's do some makeup. So recruitment is definitely looking very, very different this year. Probably every school, including mine, everything is virtual, so everything is over Zoom. So because of that, we have some pros and cons when it comes to our makeup. The nice thing is we won't have to be worrying about our mask and how that would normally, ruin everything, taking it off and on. And also we are able to touch up our makeup in between rounds as best as we can and go into every round like we have a fresh face, which is really awesome. The negative is no one's going to see it incredibly up close, but that's why we want to stand out on Zoom. So I'm going to show you how to achieve that. So for me today, I want something that's going to be very hydrating. I want to come across as having really glowy skin that can translate through the camera on my computer. So I'm going to go in first with the Dominique Cosmetics and JD Wadey Ultra Hydrating Complexion Primer. I'm just going to do a little bit of that. Now, if you have oily skin, I would not go in with a super hydrating primer, especially if you want your makeup to last the entire day, through all of the rounds. So I would maybe skip this step and do what I'm going to do next. Now, a product that I've recently discovered that I think just looks so flawless on the skin is the Hollywood Flawless Filter from Charlotte Tilbury. This gives the skin such a youthful glow, and I always put it on the high points of my face just so it'll shine through my foundation. So I like to do this under foundation, but you can do it on top if you want to use it as like a liquid highlighter. So I'm going to put it right at the top of my cheekbones, and we're going to blend it out, don't worry. Down the bridge of the nose, on the cupid's bow, a little bit on the forehead, and a little right here where the light is going to hit. And now I think the best way to blend this out is going to be with a brush, and you will still see this after we put on foundation, which is just incredibly awesome. I have like this whole eczema thing going on my face. It's so red and uncomfortable. See, it's already giving that glow that I want, and it looks way more natural than like a super glittery highlighter. All right, so foundation, now this is really up to you. I think that you should wear something that's definitely long wearing, but it's up to you if you want it to be full coverage. I mean, you're not gonna be incredibly up close to someone, so this is where you can kind of trick it. You can do something a little bit less full coverage and really target whatever you're looking for. So if you want something super matte, they still make lightweight matte formulas, but today I'm gonna go in with the Light Wonder from Charlotte Tilbury, and I think this just looks stunning on the skin over top of the highlight. Other great options if you want something a little bit more minimal, I've really been enjoying the Fenty Powder Foundation. I think this is awesome, and again, it's a little bit less coverage. Another more affordable product that is a little less coverage is the Morphe 2 Hint Skin Tint. This is just going to give you a nice evening to the skin, a little bit of tint, but it is a pretty light coverage. Now, if you want something full coverage, you guys know I love the Ordinary foundation. I feel like I use that almost every single day. I love the Revlon Candid foundation, the Estee Lauder Double Wear foundation. Everything is out there. Literally everything's been done at this point, so I'm sure that there's something out there for exactly what you're looking for. So my boyfriend got me this awesome brush set for Christmas. I'm a huge Disney fan, okay? And it's Cruella de Vil brushes. They're from Spectrum Cosmetics. You cannot tell me these are not the coolest brushes ever. They're literally half and half. I'm obsessed. So I'm gonna try and use some of them today. So I'm gonna take a little bit of this foundation and just drip it on my face. Now I'm just gonna buff it out with this brush, and hopefully this brush was meant for this purpose. I'm just gonna take a little bit more of that product and spread it out where I need more coverage. So on the cheek area, bring it down the neck. Now that that is spread out to my liking, I'm just gonna take a damp beauty blender and make sure that there are no harsh lines after spreading that out with a brush. And this is just gonna kind of melt the makeup into the skin. I'm always full coverage when it comes to concealer. I have tons of discoloration under my eyes, just genetically. It's not a sleep problem. It's like I've done everything, so it's just a Kate problem at this point. So I always like to use a full coverage concealer, and something that's also going to be hydrating. A lot of people don't realize that when things look cakey under your eyes or are creasing a lot, it's because your under eyes are actually not very hydrated and need moisture. So remember that when you're picking out your concealer. Maybe even though you have oily skin, you can still use a more hydrating concealer, but then you can set it so then it won't move throughout the day. I've really been loving the e.l.f. Hydrating Camo Concealer. I just picked up the ColourPop Pretty Fresh Hyaluronic Creamy Concealer. I find this is to be pretty full coverage. I feel like it works with a lot of products that I have, and that's what I'm actually going to be using today. One thing to remember is how you place your concealer is how your face is going to come across to the other person. So I want there to be kind of a dramatic lifted effect for my eyes that kind of makes me have that snatched kind of look that you would get when you pull your hair back into a ponytail. So I'm going to start by putting this in the inner corner, and then I'm going to kind of carve this way and really lift. I'm going to put a little bit on my chin. I'm also going to lift the mouth area. Like that. I usually put some on my nose, but since we have that highlighter on there, I don't really want to mess with that. I do need to prime my eyes, so I'm just gonna put a little bit on there. I usually like to let it sit because letting your concealer sit is going to make it a little bit more tacky and make it even more full coverage. So I've really been liking to blend out my concealer with a brush first, and I kind of just make my way up and do the under eyes last. I'm kind of just spreading out the product, and then I'm taking my beauty sponge, just making sure that's really buffed out and gelling into the foundation. I'm gonna start with the eyelid, kind of carve out my brow just a little bit. Now I'm going into the corner of the eye, really making sure I get into this pocket. I tend to forget to put concealer there, and then there's this weird discoloration between my concealer and my foundation there. I feel like that happens 90% of the time because I'm in a rush. This is not me encouraging you to go buy products. You can still do what I'm doing, just with whatever you got. And I like to use a bit of a lighter concealer because I like my under eyes to be really bright. Now I'm just buffing that out with my damp beauty sponge once again, making sure that nothing is cakey and that everything is blended and nice and snatched. So now we're gonna set the under eyes, and I'm gonna use the one size translucent setting powder. This is from Patrick Starr's beauty line. I just got the small one because I heard a lot of mixed reviews about it. I really like it. You can use your damp sponge to press the powder into the skin. I'm also gonna set my chin and my lip area. These are the places that I sweat the most. Just a little bit on the forehead to prevent all my creasing. Okay, now that the base is done and we have something to work with, I want to go in and set the rest of my face. I'm gonna go in with the Hourglass Ambient Lighting Powders. This is just a trio. And I'm gonna take my fluffy brush and I'm just gonna put this all over the skin. I kind of just mix between the first two colors, and this is gonna continue, you know, that luminosity that we originally incorporated into our base. Another great drugstore alternative to this, because it is incredibly expensive, is the Halo Glow setting powder from e.l.f. Ooh, that was bad. I may regret doing this, but I think that I want to do a soap brow today. I really like how voluminous my brows look when I do a soap brow, and then I kind of fill them in. I'm just gonna take my Patrick Ta Shaping Wax, and this is in clear. You can literally use regular soap or the Got2b glue. I also use that. I just don't have it right here. Just spray this a couple times. I just take my spoolie and just really coat it in the product. And then I'm just gonna fluff my brows. Do you see this? That's insane. All right, these are nice and fluffed. I'm gonna let them kind of stiffen up while we move on to the rest of the face. Although I do have like a little bit of a glow going on, I still feel like my face is pretty flat looking right now. So I'm going to go in and use a great deal of bronzer because I love bronzer. Use whatever you have, but we're gonna go in a little hard today. I'm gonna go in with my Alamar Cosmetics Bronzing Trio. I'm gonna take this brush. This is like the perfect size brush for bronzer. And I'm gonna go in with the middle shade. It's kind of a medium tone brown. And I always like to start on the forehead. I have a middle part, so you don't really see this as much. So I kind of like to go in a little bit heavy. Gonna chisel, really blending it into the hairline. You want it to look continuous with your hairline, so I always drag and blend it back and down the jawline and down the neck a little bit. This did a really great job of just giving me lots of definition, very lifted. We have the concealer going, and then now we also have the contour, and we're gonna keep doing that even with the blush. Okay, so I'm actually gonna go and do the eyes because that's gonna really determine what blush I wanna use. So my recommendation for eyes is the one place where you can be so creative. One of my favorite things to do during recruitment is to really go all out with my eye makeup. I either cater it towards what I'm wearing, or I do something that is going to complement the color of my eyes. So opposite of green on the color wheel is purple. So a lot of times I like to use purple for my eyes, or more mauve tones. So I'm gonna do something I think today that's going to be a little bit more mauvey, neutrally purple. Some of you may think that purple is not a neutral color, but for me, I don't really love myself in a, brown smoky eye. So this is my natural, so to speak, eye kind of look. Again, use whatever you have on hand. You can maybe recreate the style of the eye look that I'm going to do, but I recommend, using, again, the colors that are going to complement your eyes or complement your outfit. So I think to start with, I'm gonna go in with this Colored Rain Power Palette. This palette is so stunning. Every time that I wear it, I get so many compliments. I think I'm going to start with Deception, which is this purpley shade. Okay, so I'm just gonna run this through my crease. And I'm holding the brush back. Where you hold the brush is going to be how much pressure you give to that brush. So I'm holding mine pretty far back because I want it to be very feathered out and natural and loose. And I'm kind of winging it a little bit. I always like to create this lifted effect with my eye makeup, just as we did with the concealer. And this eye loves to just do that naturally. The other eye is a complete crap show. So we'll see how it goes. I'm actually going to take that same color on a more concentrated, smaller brush like this, and I'm gonna actually go underneath the eye, underneath the lashes, and really get that lower lash line smoked out. I really want that to connect so it looks more natural. Right now, I just have this very smoked out look. I feel like my eyes, one, they're popping because of the ring light, but I really like how my eyes look pressed up against this color. Definitely what I was going for. Now I think I'm gonna keep going with this palette, and I'm gonna use this darker purple shade. It's called Testify. It's just a matte kind of plum color, and I'm gonna concentrate this in the corner. Packing on and blending upward. I'm just gonna put a little bit on the outer corner of the lower lash line to, again, just let that, seamlessly blend into one another. Now I'm gonna go in with that first brush, just first smoke out that under eye and buff this slightly out. So this part's a little bit more rounded, whereas before we did something more fluttered out. So this is probably the coolest shade in my entire collection, I'm not gonna lie to you. It comes across purple, but then it has like this weird cool shift to it. So that's what I'm gonna use because, again, I just think it looks good with my eye color, and that's what I'm going for here. Something that is going to make me feel confident and beautiful and that, put together. I'm just gonna take that concentrated brush that we were using earlier, take it a little bit on here and go along the lower lash line where we hadn't put either of those matte shades, so that's closer to the inner corner. For the inner corner, since we can get to that step because we have the rest of the base done, I'm gonna go on something a little bit champagne-y, which is this wavelength color. I always like to do like a champagne in the inner corner. All right, so I really like how the eyes turned out. Again, do what you feel comfortable in and whatever's gonna make you feel confident. We're gonna go back into the complexion. And so I'm gonna go and do a nice blush. I have one in mind that I think would look really great with continuing the glowy skin, and that is Milani's Baked Blush in Luminoso. This is just like an iconic blush. It never fails me. So I want to continue with the lifted effect. That does not mean I'm going to put my blush right here. I'm going to concentrate it more in the back. So I'm going to take a little bit of this. It's pretty pigmented. So I'm going to start back here kind of. And just kind of bring it forward slightly. Do you see how this side of my face still has that, lifted effect with a little bit more color? You don't want your makeup to age you. So that means placement of makeup is so important. I've been making a conscious effort to make sure the placement of my products is in a way that is going to, complement my face, accentuate what I have. So I feel like it looks like I kind of have cheekbones now, even though I really don't. Something that I forgot to do earlier that I'm definitely going to do now is contour my nose. I'm gonna go down the sides of my nose very lightly. I don't like a super harsh contour, but I do like to bring it up into the brow to kind of look more seamless. That is my very simple nose contour. Now we can resume with what we're doing. So I still want to put on a highlighter even though we're pretty dewy. And I'm going to go in with the Benefit Cookie Highlighter. I feel like this is just enough of what I want. So I'm going to take this brush, kind of coat it, and I'm still going to hit the high points. Not bringing it over here, just the high points. Kind of putting that over top of that blush because they'll really mesh together and work well together to, you know, project that luminosity. Down the bridge of the nose lightly. Definitely getting the tip. Keep it though right here because the light will catch right there. I feel like my skin hasn't looked this good in so long. Ooh, we need to clean up the brows. I'm gonna go in with something that's going to keep my brows looking fluffy and natural. Brow products from Glossier. So let's start off with the Brow Flick. And I'm just going to add, you know, extra brush strokes into my brow wherever I think they are more sparse. But I'm flicking upwards because again, we have the fluffy brows going on. I don't really take this in the front because I think that it looks a little bit fake. And by just putting the brow gel in there, it'll bring enough tint. Okay, and now I'm just going to comb through my brow hairs, starting at the front, combing upward again, trying hopefully not to mess with that glue. All right, and I'm going to set the face now just to keep everything locked and loaded. And I'm gonna use something hydrating. Yes, hydrating. If you don't want something hydrating, the Urban Decay All Nighter is the best for literally just spraying to keep everything locked and loaded any day, anytime. I always use that when I wear a mask, but since I'm not using a mask, I'm gonna go in with this hydrating primer. There's tons on the market. I just really like this one, even though it was a limited time collab. But this is from Wet n Wild, and this is the Jungle Rock 3-in-1 Face Mist. The ColourPop one's also really awesome for hydration. The Pretty Fresh, the Anastasia Dewy Set, very great. Like, so good. If you haven't watched any of my videos before, I usually do my setting spray before mascara because I don't want my mascara to run. I don't want to hit it when I'm, you know, pressing product into the skin. Which, another thing, if you have not watched my videos before, I always press in my setting powder with my sponge to, again, just make sure everything is working seamlessly together and that it doesn't look like products stacked on top of each other, but that is just all, you know, one skin, honestly. I've really just been loving this L'Oreal Air Volume Mascara. I know Maybelline just came out with another one. Gosh, it's just so hard to keep up with mascaras, guys. Y'all probably don't need to watch me do this, so I'll just skip ahead because you know how to do mascara. Yeah. Anyways, if you're not wearing a mask, do not worry about a lip. I hate wearing like any lipstick or anything under a mask. It's just so uncomfortable. But if you're going to be on Zoom, up to you. A matte is usually going to be a little more long wearing. Some really great lip products that just kind of do both, that line and you can fill in with, are these Superstay Maybelline ink crayons. These are awesome. I wear these all the time and I find that they don't budge, they don't bother me, and you can line and fill in your lips with them. I'm gonna go in with a color that I feel confident in, that never fails me, and I think that's a pretty universal color. Charlotte Tilbury's Pillow Talk. I will be wearing this on my wedding day. That's how amazing it is, okay? So I'm gonna start with lining my lips. This is the Pillow Talk lip liner. I like to slightly overdraw my lips because I have none. A trick to make your lip look slightly bigger is to kind of get rid of this indent and go more straight across to give that like pout effect. And I'm gonna go in with the Pillow Talk lipstick. This glides on like a dream. See, I think my lips look slightly more plump than they normally do. I'm just gonna put a little bit of this lifter gloss from Maybelline. These are so good. These are just so good. I had to go buy more. This is the shade Ice. It's kind of like a light pink. I think we're looking pretty good. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope it was educational, inspiring, and that you can use the skills that I talked about today and the recommendations that I brought up to do your makeup on your own and to, you know, when you're buying products, what you should be looking for. Again, my goal here is just to help you feel confident and gorgeous in your own skin. You can do that without wearing makeup, but makeup is something that, you know, just gives me a little bit of a boost, and I really enjoy being able to show off what I can do with makeup. And so that's one of the reasons why whenever I, you know, have a special occasion or something that I'm doing, I try to go about my makeup in a certain way that really just accentuates, you know, what I already have without necessarily covering it up. My face does not feel cakey, like it doesn't feel like I'm wearing a lot of makeup. I don't see this, you know, creasing throughout the day or being uncomfortable, because sometimes makeup can do that. If anything, I may just have to put powder on. Sometimes I will just go back in and redo my lipstick, but I'm hoping this will at least last and I can just freshen up in between. So yeah, again, I hope that you take the skills and the recommendations that you learned here today to, you know, tap into your creative side and come up with a look that you really feel comfortable and confident in. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Definitely like it down below if you did enjoy it, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.